ever imagine standing on a rig, like way out there, drilling thousands of feet into the earth?
Yeah, it's a pretty wild thought, isn't it?
It really is. And today we're doing a deep dive into the world of drilling engineers. We're using a bunch of insights from RoleCatcher to, really figure out what this career path is all about.
Sounds good.
Because it's got to be more than just hard hats and those massive machines, right?
Oh, absolutely.
It's about using like crazy cutting-edge tech to unearth these hidden resources. Like, that's fascinating to me.
Yeah, and way more collaborative than you might think.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's easy to think like lone wolf in a hard hat, but
Yeah.
not even close.
Huh. Okay, so who are they teaming up with down there? It can't just be, like, more drilling engineers.
Oh no, we're talking geologists to, really understand those earth layers, and then reservoir engineers to get the most out of, what they're extracting. You even got financial experts in the mix to make sure everything stays on budget.
Wow, okay. So you really need a blend of, like, science and engineering, even a bit of business know-how. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a very interesting mix.
So can we, like, paint a picture here? Where does a drilling engineer actually work? Is it like an office?
Well, picture this. You're on a remote land site battling the elements.
Oh, wow.
Or you could be out on an offshore platform dealing with the constant, ocean motion.
I get seasick just thinking about that.
Yeah, both situations, they have their own unique challenges, and they require, that you're adaptable, that you're resilient.
Right.
We're talking physically demanding work, long hours, often on a rotating shift schedule. It's not for everyone.
You're really selling me on the intensity here.
Yeah.
I have to say, though, there's a certain thrill to it, right? To be like, I tamed this well.
Yeah.
I extracted this resource.
Yeah.
But to even get to that point, I imagine the education requirements are intense.
You might be surprised. A bachelor's degree is like the standard. Yeah. But RoleCatcher highlights a really interesting point. It doesn't have to be in drilling engineering specifically. Yeah. So we're talking like petroleum engineering, mechanical, chemical, geology, even electrical and environmental engineering make the cut.
Wait, environmental engineering?
Yeah.
That's fascinating.
Yeah. Makes you think.
Yeah, I wouldn't have, like, connected those dots.
Well, sustainable drilling practices are becoming more and more important.
Right, right.
So having those engineers with that environmental expertise, that's becoming crucial. Got to minimize that ecological footprint, right?
Oh, for sure. For
Right.
sure. That's a really great point. See, that's what I love about these deep dives. You see how different fields, you think they have nothing to do with each other, and then,
They all come together.
yeah, they're all interconnected.
Exactly.
So we've got these diverse teams facing challenging environments. What about the actual skills that make a drilling engineer successful?
So RoleCatcher, they really dig into this. And some of their stats are surprising. Like, of course, technical expertise, that's a given.
Right, of course, yeah.
But did you know that reading comprehension ranks incredibly high?
No.
Like, we're talking 68% importance.
Oh, 68%. I thought we were talking about drilling, not writing instruction manuals.
It's both. Because drilling engineers are constantly analyzing reports, interpreting all this geological data, and then they have to communicate it to their team. So
Right, yeah.
got to be clear, got to be concise. It's key.
So it's almost like they're taking this underground world
Yeah.
and, like, translating it into something everyone can understand.
Exactly.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
And it's not just explaining what's going on, it's also active listening.
Oh, sure.
Because remember, high-stakes environment,
Right.
decisions need to be made quickly.
Yeah.
And everybody's got to be on the same page.
Teamwork, teamwork, teamwork.
Big time. But I'm curious, what does that actually look like on a day-to-day basis?
So let's say you're drilling and you hit an unexpected gas pocket.
Oh, boy.
That's when things get interesting.
Yeah.
That's where that collaborative spirit shines.
You mentioned hitting a gas pocket. Talk about pressure. What happens in that scenario?
That's when all those goals we talked about, they really come into play. First, you got to stay calm.
Right.
Assess the situation. You're analyzing that real-time data coming from the well, talking to the geologists about like the surrounding rock formations. You might even run simulations to see how that gas pocket might behave.
So it's like this high-stakes puzzle, but instead of pieces, you've got data points and like geological formations.
Exactly. And the stakes are high. It's not just for fun, right?
Right.
There are consequences. So you need to figure out how to contain the gas safely, adjust your whole drilling strategy, then communicate those changes to your team clearly, concisely.
And that's where that 68% reading comprehension comes in handy.
Yes.
Because you got to make sure you're following all the procedures, right?
Exactly. Safety first.
Yeah.
You're poring over technical documents, safety procedures, the whole 9 yards. Okay, this is really making me understand why drilling engineers are a different breed.
Yeah.
They like to solve problems. They work well under pressure. But let's talk career progression. RoleCatcher outlines a clear path from entry level all the way up to seasoned pro.
They do, and it's actually pretty encouraging, especially when you're just starting out. So you might begin as a junior drilling engineer,
Okay.
really focused on optimizing well construction. Squeezing every ounce of efficiency out of the process. That's where you learn the ropes.
So starting with the fundamentals, making sure each well is drilled safely and efficiently. Makes sense. What's next?
As you get that experience, you move up, maybe become a senior drilling engineer.
Okay.
Now you're not just looking at one well, you're overseeing entire projects, managing budgets, making sure everyone's following those safety protocols,
Right.
and handling all those unexpected curveballs, because they always pop up.
Right. So more responsibility, more leadership, higher stakes. But probably more variety too, I'm guessing.
Absolutely. Every project's different geological formations, technical challenges, even cultural considerations if you're working internationally.
Oh, that's right. Didn't even think about the global aspect of it.
Yeah.
So we've gone from optimizing the wells to overseeing these huge projects. What's at the very top?
At the tippy top, principal drilling engineer according to RoleCatcher.
Ooh, fancy title.
Right. Now, you're the big picture thinker, setting drilling strategies for the whole company. You're advising on major projects, maybe even leading the way in developing new drilling technology.
Wow. So you go from the front lines of the drilling rig to potentially influencing the entire industry.
Pretty much.
That's quite a journey. But with all this technology changing so rapidly, how does a drilling engineer keep their skills up to date? Do they have to go back to school every few years?
It's a good question. It's a fast-moving industry. And while going back to school is always an option,
Right.
RoleCatcher actually points out some other great ways to stay current.
Okay, good.
Professional organizations, for example, like the Society of Petroleum Engineers, SPE.
Okay, so networking, conferences, keeping up with the latest and greatest. What else?
Certifications are big. A well control certification shows you really know how to manage well pressure. And getting your project management professional certification, PMP, that can be really valuable as you move into those leadership positions.
So it's all about continuous learning, which isn't always about hitting the books. It's about engaging with the entire industry.
Yeah, building your network, proving your expertise.
It's like being a lifelong student, but in a cool, hands-on way.
Exactly. And that takes us to a really interesting question that RoleCatcher brings up. The future of drilling. We've been talking about oil and gas, but what about those emerging fields?
Oh, that's a great point. We see the push for renewables, for sustainability. Could these skills be used for things like geothermal energy, maybe even water management?
That is the million-dollar question, and I think it makes this career path even more fascinating.
So we've talked about this, traditional path of a drilling engineer. But with the whole world shifting towards renewables, are we looking at a dead end in a few years? Or are those skills transferable?
That's the exciting part. It's not about fading away, it's more of a transformation. Think about it. The core of drilling, like understanding what's going on under the surface, managing pressure, picking the right tools for the job, those all apply to tons of different areas.
So instead of oil and gas, we're talking about drilling for, geothermal energy.
Exactly. Imagine using the Earth's natural heat to make clean electricity. Drilling engineers would be essential in designing and building those geothermal power plants.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. What about that water resource management you mentioned? How did that fit in?
Well, with water becoming more and more scarce, we need some creative solutions.
Right.
And drilling engineers could be the ones to find and access new sources of groundwater, or even develop those underground storage systems to save water in places where there are droughts.
It's amazing what you don't think about. That's a whole side of drilling I never even considered.
Yeah.
It's like they're becoming environmental problem solvers instead of just, taking stuff out of the ground.
It's definitely a shift in mindset, and it's not just about using the same old techniques. It's about pushing the boundaries of what's possible. And RoleCatcher even talks about this, like how they're using more and more directional drilling, especially with that unconventional gas extraction.
Directional drilling, that sounds kind of complicated.
Oh, it is, but it's also incredibly cool. Think about it. Being able to steer a drill bit that's thousands of feet underground, going around all those tricky rock formations, or even hitting a very specific resource deposit, That's wild.
Yeah, that's pretty wild.
This technology is already changing the energy industry, and who knows what kind of impact it could have on geothermal energy or water management down the road. It's huge.
It's pretty mind-blowing when you put it that way.
Yeah.
Someone could start out drilling for oil and end up being a pioneer in, like, clean energy or solving the world's water problems.
Yeah.
That's really cool. It's like this unique skill set that's becoming even more valuable as we deal with climate change.
That's the beauty of this field. It never stops evolving. So if you're someone who loves a challenge, who loves figuring things out, and wants a career that has a real impact, but also gives you that sense of accomplishment, drilling engineering might be the perfect fit. Even today, it's a great career path.
This deep dive has been amazing. I really didn't know much about this career at all. From the teamwork to the unexpected skills you need to how relevant it will be in the future, it's been eye-opening.
That's what I love about digging into these career paths. You never know what you're going to find.
Well said. And to all our listeners, if you want to learn more, definitely check out RoleCatcher. Their insights were super helpful today, and they've got a ton of information to help you figure out your own career journey. Until next time, keep exploring, keep asking those questions, and keep diving deep.